And the port city of Tianjin in China is hosting the two-day-long Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, the focus of which will be on the key bilateral meetings between PM Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping and President Putin. Well, President Putin is the latest world leader to arrive in Tianjin. Now, in an interview published on China's news agency, Xinhua, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the upcoming summit will strengthen the SCO's capacity to respond to contemporary challenges and threats, while it will consolidate solidarity across the shared Eurasian space, helping shape a fairer multipolar world order. Well, yesterday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi reached Tianjin, and this is also PM Modi's first visit to China since 2018. And the much-awaited Xi-Modi bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the SCO summit is expected at 9:30 a.m. local time, about 2 hours from now. And this will be only the second bilateral meet between the two leaders since last year's Kazan BRICS summit. The guest list for the SCO summit includes leaders of the organization's 10 member states, along with representatives from almost 24 other countries. Russian President Vladimir Putin, Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, and Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif are among the dignitaries attending this summit. While Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Egyptian Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli will also be participating as dialogue partners. While some countries that are not SCO members will also be represented, including Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, and Vietnam. Amid the unrest in Indonesia, President Prabowo Subianto will not be attending the SCO summit as protests have further spread outside the capital. Well, multiple bilateral meetings are expected to be held on the sidelines of this summit. Chinese President Xi met leaders including Egyptian Premier Mustafa Madbouli and Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet in Tianjin on Saturday. While the Kremlin has informed that Russian President Putin will discuss the Ukraine conflict with Erdogan. Putin will also meet with his Iranian counterpart, Pezeshkian, to discuss Tehran's nuclear program, a meeting that comes as Iran faces fresh Western pressure.
В области энергетики есть и другие возможность нам придать дополнительный импульс практически по всем направлениям нашей.
To give us more details on this, CGTN correspondent Wang Tianyu has sent this report from Tianjin in China. Take a listen.
When the SCO was established 24 years ago, it was primarily formed to address security concerns. And today, it has grown into a comprehensive regional organization with the largest population and geography. Its 10 member states include China, Russia, India, Iran, Pakistan, Belarus, and 4 Central Asian states. Some highlights of this year's summit are already known. For example, leaders from more than 20 countries and heads of 10 international organizations will sign the Tianjin Declaration and the long-term plan for SCO development over the next 10 years. And in the media center, you can see delivery bots providing free water, humanoid robots giving instructions, and nearly 1,000 university student volunteers. They are trained in diplomatic protocol, language services, and emergency response. So the preparations are in full swing. Wang Tianyu, CGTN for WION, Tianjin, China.
And shifting our focus, at least 3 people have died and several have been injured in Indonesia after protesters set fire to a regional parliament building. Demonstrations in the country over the massive perks given to lawmakers and later the killing of a cab share driver have turned into the first big tests for the President Prabowo Subianto's government. Take a look at these visuals for more. And Thai politics is once again in turmoil. After the removal of Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra, the race to form a new government has intensified. Bhumjai Thai party leader Anutin Chanvirakul is positioning himself as the next prime minister with the backing of a powerful coalition. Anutin has secured the support of 279 members of parliament, giving him a clear edge in the contest to form the next government. The shift comes after Paetongtarn Shinawatra was ousted over the Hun Sen audio clip case, a ruling that dissolved her cabinet and set off a scramble for power. Bhumjan Thai, with 69 seats of its own, has struck deals with several parties. The People's Party with 142 seats, Palang Pracharat Party with 18, Klatham Party with 26, United Thai Nation with 18, Thai Sang Thai with 2 and 4 additional seats from smaller parties. Altogether, they bring Anutin's bloc to 279 MPs, and that is enough to dominate the 492-seat House of Representatives. Now, behind the numbers are said to be negotiations over cabinet seats. The Pheu Thai party of Shinawatra, which had led the previous government, has tried to regroup with former coalition partners, but its numbers now look weak, leaving it with only about 213 MPs. The rapid deals underline Anutin's determination to lead Thailand's next government. With 279 MPs pledged to support him, his candidacy as prime minister is now firmly in play. On Friday, Thailand's Constitutional Court found suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra guilty of ethical misconduct and ordered her removal from office. The ruling makes Paetongtarn the 5th Prime Minister since 2008 to be stripped of the office by Thai judges. The 9-judge court ruled that Shinawatra had violated the ethical standards required for a Prime Minister. In other global news, Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian has spoken about the controversial hijab law in the Islamic Republic. The reformist president expressed his reservation, saying he is hesitant to enforce the strict dress code that might lead to a war in Iranian society. In an interview, the Iranian president stated that even though he believes in hijab and his family adheres to the dress code, not wearing the veil or a veil does not mean a person is not good. Listen to this.
My understanding was that if I did this, it might lead to a war in society that I wouldn't be able to handle, and I'm not supposed to do something that would bring society to the point of a national dispute. I believe in the hijab, my family members all wear the chadar, but that doesn't mean if someone doesn't wear a veil, they are not a good person.
And during his 2024 presidential campaign, the Iranian president had criticized the strict law and called the legislation ambiguous and in need of reform, and has promised to promote a fair and just Iranian society. The president has also appointed Fatemeh Mohajerani as the new spokesperson for the government. Maki Mohajerani is the first woman to ever hold this position in Iran. Pezeshkian's statements come after Iran paused the process of implementing the new, stricter law on women's mandatory headscarf. The controversial law was approved by the parliament in 2023 in September, but has not been enforced. The law levies harsher punishments for women who refuse to wear the hijab and for businesses that serve them. Well, many believe that the law could reignite the protests that engulfed the Islamic Republic after the 2022 death of Mahsa Amini. The European Union foreign ministers met in Copenhagen on Saturday, but the talks exposed deeper divisions over the war in Gaza. While some countries call for stronger economic pressure on Israel, while others make clear they would not support such moves. While the split has left the bloc struggling to form a common strategy.
It's clear that member states disagree on how to get Israeli government to change course. The options are clear and remain on the table. We have presented an option paper, but the problem is that not all EU member states are on board.
Denmark warned that Israel's actions and expanding settlements are undermining the possibility of a two-state solution and said inaction could strengthen extremism.
Israel is right now undermining the two-state solution, and taking action against that is not strengthening Hamas. You could argue the opposite. Because if we do not intervene, if we do not have any actions, then we give room to the most extremist environments at both sides of the conflict.
EU ministers have also urged the United States to reconsider blocking Palestinian representatives from taking part in the upcoming United Nations General Assembly. Beyond Gaza, the meeting turned to Russia's war in Ukraine, with member states asked to submit proposals for a new package of sanctions.
Ministers discussed the possible building blocks for the next sanction package. Options include secondary sanctions, those backing Russia's war, as well as import bans and tariffs on Russian products. Efforts against shadow fleet ships must also be stepped up.
Well, in the end, Europe left Copenhagen without consensus on Gaza, but with a renewed push for unity on both West Asia and Ukraine. A Belgian court has rejected the bail plea of fugitive diamond trader Mehul Choksi, who is wanted in India in connection with over Indian rupees 6,300 crore bank fraud. The rejection of the bail plea comes just ahead of Choksi's extradition hearing, and reports suggest the Court of Appeal in Belgium rejected Choksi's plea after the CBI conveyed to the Belgian prosecution that Choksi had escaped from many jurisdictions earlier. It also raised concerns that the fugitive diamond trader could flee the country if let out on bail. In April, Choksi was arrested in Belgium on the basis of an extradition request sent by the CBI. The arguments in the extradition case of 66-year-old Choksi will be taken up in a court in Belgium in mid-September. The CBI has also invoked the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime and the United Nations Convention Against Corruption in its extradition request. Mehul Choksi and his nephew Nirav Modi are wanted in the 13,000 crore rupee fraud in Punjab National Bank that they allegedly orchestrated through fraudulent letters of undertaking in connivance with some bank officials at Mumbai's Brady House branch. Well, runners face severe weather as they call the 2025 Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc one of the toughest marathons worldwide. Slippery nighttime descents led to numerous falls and belly slides on steep mountain trails. Take a look at this report for more.
I was expecting it to be cold, but not this cold. It was terrible. We had snow as early as the Bornholm Pass, the Seigne Pass. Very, very cold. I have the survival blanket underneath. I'm soaked. I couldn't feel my hands or my feet anymore. It's tough.
Well, market moves in August raised more questions than any answer just before the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit. Trading in August reflected U.S. President Trump and his chorus singing the administration's rhetoric. But too much is resting on U.S. courts, even as the latest ruling of Trump tariffs being illegal on Friday came post-market close, leading into the long holiday weekend. The direction for U.S. tariffs is up, not down, because the pressure on the White House from financial markets has diminished since April. But the volatility and the moves in the dying session of the month showed September will see a legal challenge to tariffs. The big wild card would be if the Supreme Court strikes down Trump's country-specific tariffs. There would be chaos in global markets, no doubt. But there are plenty of other powers at the president's disposal to impose tariffs through other means. While Trump extended the truce with China, he upped his tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. But those tariffs have brought India and China closer. Analysts now say it is no longer China plus one, but China plus India. The SCO summit is being called an important step in that direction. In August, gold made a remarkable comeback, even as Wall Street's momentum train hit full speed into September. The yellow metal rose to near record highs, soaring 5% during the month. Crude oil and Bitcoin took the biggest hit in August. Benchmark Brent oil fell nearly 6% on worries about crude flows. However, the other side of the argument was reflected in the dollar's decline in August. Trump claims billions of dollars in revenue from tariffs, but the U.S. currency took a beating, reflecting investors' bet on who is actually winning. Investor caution is also driven by fresh political pressure on the Federal Reserve. Moving on to the Asia-Pacific stock markets. China's main stock index led the gains in the region with 8% gains. The U.S.-China trade truce kept investors betting on Chinese stocks. Japanese stocks were not left behind. Japan's Nikkei closed out the month with a 4% gains, and the OC index rose 2.6%. But the only exception and the most telling move is reflected in Indian stocks, taking a beating from Trump's 50% tariffs. The Indian benchmark closed out August with 1.7% losses. And in the Americas, Wall Street stocks hit fresh record highs during the month. The S&P 500 notched a fourth straight monthly gain. However, a tech rout weighed on sentiment before the September challenge for stocks. September has usually been a bad month for global stocks. Last week's wobble offered insights into what to expect in September. But Brazilian and Canadian stocks showed grand gains to show a different mood for these countries. And across the Atlantic, European stocks reflected the reality. The nuanced moves in benchmarks across regions showed mixed sentiment. While the UK's FTSE gained, the French CAC and the German DAX ended in the red. The South African stock index was a standout with 3.4% gains. Well, what happens in the Russia-Ukraine peace talks is likely to drive European stocks in the month ahead, rather than Trump's drama on social media. Bollywood's versatile star Rajkumar Rao turns 41 today. Born Rajkumar Yadav, Rao's rise to stardom was built on hard work, talent, and a relentless drive to break into the film industry. Now, after graduating from the Film and Television Institute of India, he made his debut in 2010, catching attention with his natural performance. He quickly became a powerhouse performer, winning the National Film Award for Shahid and giving critically acclaimed acts in films like Trapped, Newton, and Amartya. In recent years, he's balanced commercial success with meaningful cinema, with movies like Stree, Badai and Shrikant, showing off his range and box office appeal. But the star has also faced headlines from criticism about his physical transformations for roles in online discussions about nepotism and opportunities in Bollywood. Today, as Rajkumar Rao celebrates his 41st birthday, he stands as one of the most respected actors of his generation. The Moscow Fashion Week has kicked off, and how? More than 200 brands are expected to showcase their collections at the fashion event. Here's more in our next report. That's all World Day today, but don't go anywhere. Coming up, the big news. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit. The key focus will be on the bilateral meetings between PM Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We'll get you all the details on the other side. Keep watching. WION World is One.
India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Israel is brazening it out in Gaza. Journalists are being targeted and killed. Famine is deepening, but Netanyahu remains in denial. Houthis are shocking Israel, unleashing a deadly missile with multiple warheads. And in Turkey, a cup of coffee comes with a glimpse of destiny, blending centuries of tradition with a ritual of fortune.
Watch the West Asia Post with me, Radi Francis, only on WION. World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Hello and welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One. I'm Choksi. Let's begin with the headlines.
Day today, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit begins with a gala dinner.
The port city of Tianjin in China hosts the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, focused on key bilateral meetings between PM Narendra Modi and President Xi Jinping and President Vladimir Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin has condemned attempts to distort World War II history while pledging to deepen strategic collaboration with Beijing as he arrives in Tianjin for the SCO summit. Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto cancels a planned trip to China as days of protest spread further outside the capital Jakarta, with several regional parliament buildings set ablaze. Yemen's Houthi rebels vowed to take revenge for the killing of their prime minister and other political leaders by Israeli airstrikes earlier this week. The U.S. warship spotted near Venezuela as Washington ramps up a larger naval buildup in the southern Caribbean to target Latin American drug cartels.